here. Bob, say we're ready. Good evening, everybody. Please calm down.
Hello, excuse me.
Calm down,
Folks.
everybody. We're starting the meeting. Quiet. Thank you. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting of July 31st, 2018. Roll call, please.
4 selectmen present this evening, town council and town administrator.
Okay, next is Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Gray, how would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Announcements.
Mary,
I have none.
Peter,
Just a reminder that the second annual Meet Me at the Tremont event is happening on Saturday, August 25th at the Tremont Nail Factory Freight Building. That's the nice building down by the water, from 5:30 till 8:30. Tickets are available at the Cape Cod Canal Region Chamber of Commerce website, as well as the Gallery Consignment Shop on Main Street. They're $35 a piece, and that will get you a nice meal from the Minkle Brothers Caterers. It will get you entertainment from Daddy-O, and we're actually going to have a potter on site making pottery. So it'll be very interesting. I hope a lot of people will attend. The first event was a smashing success. We hope the second one is as well.
Patrick.
I'm good.
I have nothing really on announcements
Nothing in the
there.
file.
Board comments? Mary, anything special?
Nope.
Peter?
I'll refrain.
Oh, that's nice of you. Patrick?
Yeah, I gotta just say one thing, and I don't want this to sound political because it's not about politics. But recently, there was a select person who knelt during the Pledge of Allegiance before their meeting.
I heard about it.
I was very dismayed by this because, in my opinion, standing up and pledging allegiance to your country and your flag has nothing to do with Democrats, Republicans, or anything else. It's an honoring the vets and the people that have made this place the greatest nation on earth. And I am very upset by that, and I would hope that no one would follow that lead, that we would, hold it up to the highest standard. It just bothered me, and I have to say something in public. I'm sorry.
Thank you, appreciate that. On board comments, these are usually things that are outside the normal realm of what we do. Just to let people know, the police department is taking a real hard stand finally. And when I say finally, it means they're actually able to go ahead and do a lot of things that haven't been done in a long time. As people know, that people have been pulled off the streets without standing warrants, etc. We've had basically a liquor sting about a week ago with three stores caught, and we did another one today, and one of the ones that got caught last week got caught again this week, which is not very pleasant. But Acting Chief Walczak basically wants the town of Wareham to know that people should understand that Wareham is not a place for kids to come to buy liquor, and he'll make sure that that's the case. So I'd like to reach out and tell him that this board will support him to the maximum of what we're allowed to do. That's it. Citizens' comments, please. Yes, Mrs. Slavin.
I knew that hand was going up. It's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
No, doesn't matter.
Should call it Sandy's
I
comments.
gave you
I brought my notes so I don't forget things.
Do I have to sleep in the garage tonight again?
Maybe.
Let's see what happens.
Make note that Tony came in at 7:12.
Sandy
Oh,
Slavin?
sorry.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
just
yeah.
have a couple, okay. I was reading the Las Vegas Review this morning, and there's a nationwide ban that bans smoking within 25 feet of public housing projects. Has anybody heard of that?
No.
They said it was a nationwide ban. You can't smoke within 25 feet of public housing projects.
Haven't
So,
heard of it.
okay. Thumbs up for painting the side crosswalks. Thank you. I know you physically did not paint it, but municipal maintenance got out there, and we have nice green painted crosswalks.
All right, what's the shoe to fall next?
A couple months ago, I understand the board released a home from their affordable housing deed restriction, and that there was some money coming back to the town. Was it 2,600, I think I read?
Something like that.
I was wondering, was that going to go to the Affordable Housing Trust or into general funds?
I know what Mr. Sullivan's preferable answer would be.
If we don't have an answer, Mrs. Slavin can put it on the book there, and we can get back with an answer rather than guess.
That would be general fund. You could always have an article to appropriate out of free cash the same amount to the Affordable Housing Trust if you wanted to.
Because
but-
last time, we had issues with deed restrictions, and that money came to the Affordable Housing Trust to be used for affordable housing projects, but okay.
Well, just because you did it wrong once.
Okay.
It's okay, the garage is fine.
Garage, the couch, something.
There's no couch, sorry.
I think that's all I'm going to cover tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Thank
I've been
you.
asked
Anyone else?
to reduce it.
Got several.
Please come up.
Could you just state your name, please?
My name is Justine McLaughlin, and...
Got to
yes,
speak right into that
speak right into
microphone,
that
or they
mic.
won't hear you at home.
Justine McLaughlin.
Thank you.
And kind of continuing the theme of affordable housing, I trust that most of you are aware of the issue with 19 Puritan Avenue. I sent emails and letters to each of you.
That's been referred to our town council. That's not a matter we can address here tonight in any form, unless he wants to address it.
Yeah, he can address it.
You comfortable with that, Rich?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
On Friday evening, an attorney who's involved in this transaction sent me several documents. Not all of the documents which he referred to in his email were the documents which I needed. In his email, he asked me for my opinion as to whether he could release funds to your client or someone's client. The material that was sent to me was wholly inadequate for any kind of review. So what I've done is I've written back to this attorney asking him for his opinion, why he justifies his opinion, for a copy of each and every document that supports his opinion, and if he seeks a release, to give me a copy of the release so that I can review it and make a recommendation to this board. As you know, since I believe you're the real estate broker handling the transaction, I assume that this transaction has been going on for more time than between Friday and today. Is that correct?
It is correct, and we were at the closing table. Everything had been approved, and it came up at that point in time.
Yes. Well, and now, on Friday evening, you have brought this problem to us.
Right.
So as I think you can understand, a transaction that's been in the works now for some weeks, if not months, has now hit a snag. And now you are in berating staff in the Selectmen's office because between Friday and today, we have not been able to unravel something that you've been working on for months.
I haven't berated anybody. I've just been in the
Thank you,
office
Mr.
trying to get an answer.
No, thank you.
That's as far as we can go with this
Sounds-
tonight.
I got it, Peter.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Please follow the process. Go ahead.
You got to speak right into the microphone, please, and
Okay.
state your name first, please.
Diane Yarrington, and I live in Onset.
Thank you.
I have a couple of issues tonight. I used to come to these meetings regularly, and I stopped coming about 2 years ago, and I just told my husband, I said I have to go back because I'm very, very concerned about the village of Onset. Couple of things. I just saw in the paper the other day that the town of Wareham received hundreds of thousands of dollars for the blighted situation that the town of Wareham is supposedly in. When I look at a blighted area, I look at the village of Onset. I've lived there for 63 years. It is a disgrace. We have the Pan Mass Challenge bikers coming through this weekend. I ride my bike every day in Onset. It's like taking your life in your hands. I don't want to go to Falmouth. I don't want to go to the canal. I want to ride my bike in Onset. The streets are sandy. It's a liability to have Pan Mass Challenge come through there on Saturday. Onset Ave is full of sand, nip bottles, glass, grass. It is a liability. I'm telling you. I go out now like at 5 o'clock just so that I can not have to deal with all that in the cars. But you talk about blighted. We've got homes that need to be torn down. Okay? We've got storefronts that are a disgrace. We have no streetlights in lots and lots of areas. The roads. My husband's been on a walker for the past 6 weeks. I called municipal maintenance. I called the disability people in Boston. I've called all over town. He hasn't been able to leave my house all summer because he can't walk on the roads in Onset with his walker. There are so many potholes, cracks, sidewalks loaded with grass. It's a disgrace over there. And I'm going to challenge all of you, because I'm going to come back next week. I'm going to challenge all of you to take a ride through Onset. Go up and down every single street and take a look at the condition of the village of Onset. How many of you live in Onset? Do any of you live in Onset?
No.
No, none of you live in Onset. It's a disgrace. The other thing I'm going to say while I'm right here is the police have been doing an excellent job. I'll agree with you 100% there. And I'm happy to see all the arrests and all that's being taken care of. I am. I'm very, very pleased about that. I'm thrilled with the work that Kat Jones is doing in Onset. But we've got to stand behind her, and we've got to do something to attract people. And that includes the Buzzards Bay Coalition. That project needs to go forward. It's the best thing to happen in Onset in many, many, many years. It will bring people to the village. It will bring money to the village.
Just to interject, we do have Mark Rasmussen from the coalition here tonight, along with a whole bunch of people from the coalition, to talk about the project, to talk about the progress, where they are in it, and what their next steps are. So you might want to stick around instead of
I'm going
leaving.
to stick around. And I just have one other thing I want to say, and that's about, I know you're building a new elementary school, and I think that's great. I'm all about education. All the members in my family, they're all educators.
Well,
I'm all about it.
that'll be up to the people of the town.
Okay,
Let's not
but
respond,
what I want to
please.
say is that
No.
we vacate a lot of property in this town. Schools, the Hammond School in Onset, now the Minot Forest School will be vacated. We buy up property, i.e. the Tremont Nail Factory, and we do nothing with this property at all. We either need to sell it or we need to do something with it. We just cannot keep sitting on property that's been vacated or that we buy for a reason and nothing happens to it.
Thank
So
you.
that's all I need to say tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody
I'm
else?
challenging you to go to Onset this week, because I'm coming back next week. I want to see who takes a ride over there.
Okay, thank you.
We drive through it every day.
Comments?
Yes.
All right.
I'm new to this.
Name, please, and address.
Holly Haratunian, 22 North Boulevard.
Thank you.
I am also here in regards to something about Onset. I'm very torn on the Buzzards Bay Center. I love all the cool things that will happen there. Not a problem with that. I hate the fact that it will steal our view on the prettiest bluffs on the best part of Onset. Now, I went over and reviewed the plans today in preparation for tomorrow night's meeting, and he was very helpful in measuring me and showing me how all the blueprints worked. And it seems like there could be a super easy compromise if the cupola, if I'm saying that right, was taken off. That's what's blocking the view.
Holly, just before you go any farther,
Pardon?
that's not in our purview. That will be tomorrow's meeting with the Conservation and with the Planning Board of Zoning. Board of Selectmen are here for this particular meeting tonight, just for them to show us what we're doing.
Right, this is citizens' comments.
I understand, but I'm just letting you know, you're getting into details about the design, et cetera.
Yeah, we don't have any veto power over the
Don't have
design
any
or
say
anything
in
like
that.
that.
My comment is simply, in that case, I'll say it behind me. We'll do this the
Holly.
easy way.
You'd have to address them directly, not during our meeting.
Okay, well,
And this is, your opportunity is tomorrow.
All right, well, they're doing an update on the Buzzards Bay bathhouse, so that tells me that tonight also counts.
They're presenting the Board of Selectmen with the current plans, that's all they're doing.
Right, and this isn't an opportunity really particularly for anybody to critique plans. It's not a public hearing on the plans themselves. I don't think they're
Well, it's
required to have a
citizen
public hearing.
comments, and as a citizen, this is my issue, so thank you.
No,
That's
we
all I
understand your
wanted to
concern,
say.
and you've got it out before us. Thank you.
After Cupola, everybody wins.
Anybody else? None heard. Next.
The appointments. Richard Swenson, is he here?
No.
No, okay.
You have a letter of approval for that.
I do
also.
have the letter here, yes. Okay, I move we approve Richard Swenson, 2 Churchill Ave, Wareham, to the Wareham Redevelopment Authority for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions from the board? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Just briefly, I do want to remark that there were 2 people who sought that citizen's position on the redevelopment authority, and Mr. Jepson also attended all of the meetings up until the point where we voted the recommendation, and he has a lot of good ideas, and I hope he will stay involved.
Okay, next we have a hearing at 7:15 on the layout for Windsor Drive, Woodville Way, and Millwood Drive. Want to come up, please? Patrick, you've got all the
I
paperwork
do
for
right
that?
here. Yes.
Oh, I made copies for all you guys.
All right, so I move we open the public hearing for the intention to lay out the way at Windsor Drive, Woodville Way, and Melwood Drive.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Tony?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Peter? Alan is yes. I've gone through the paperwork already. It's okay. No? You can do this. Go ahead. You're not interfering. Just so people understand, we are supposed to actually have a letter from the Director of Municipal Maintenance, just giving us a statement whether or not the basic road, et cetera,
Right.
utilities and everything are in place. The actual standards that you have to meet will go to the planning board if we decide to want to lay it out, and they will have their engineer come back with a yes or a no before we actually go ahead and vote on it, just so you understand. It's a piece that was kind of missing.
All right, so you tell us what you want to tell us, and
Good evening. My name is Barbara Morse. I live at 3 Windsor Drive, part of Linwood Estates. The information I provided to you was the first layout of Linwood, taken from the Registry of Deeds. First started Melwood, then Linwood, pardon me. Approved, the subdivision was approved in '79. And we've gone to also Ken Buckland. He has the information from the original layout. He was able to find everything. So he said no further engineering would be needed. We had updates from sewer done about 15 years ago. And so I understand the next part is to go to planning, municipal maintenance, back to you people. So I'm just presenting it that we'd like to have our streets taken. It's approximately .90 miles. And we have 39 homes it won't be added to. The streets won't be changed in any way. And at the end of the property is town property on the cul-de-sac, and that's where we've worked to get the Lukey Community Park redone. So that's pretty complete. Again, it's not the big thing on the pedestal there, but everything was found in Town Hall by Ken Buckland, and for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, you have any questions? Mary?
I don't, nope.
Peter?
no,
Patrick?
very familiar with the property.
All set.
Thank you.
Vote to be conditional on the municipal maintenance director?
Well, what the vote is right now is just the intention
Send
to lay it out.
Yeah.
What happens here is we will then basically vote to go ahead and submit it to the planning board. Planning board has 45 days to come back with us with an answer. The planning board will usually use their engineer. If they find that there's any deficiencies with the current standards, because your standards are not 79, they're actually today. So if for some reason something doesn't meet it, you'll have to bring the road up to those standards before we can put it on a warrant to be accepted.
Very good.
That's just how it works.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I move, first off, is there anybody here to speak for the project? Yes, ma'am. Come right up to the microphone, please. Say your name and
I'm
where you...
Gloria Peel Rubinovich, and I live at 14 Woodville Way.
Okay.
My house has been there since 1996, so I've only been there for a couple of years, but previously lived on Alden Road. Barbara has done all of the work, and my understanding is that the planning board and everybody else is on board, so I hope you will seriously consider this, as we're all taxpayers, and they're still plowing the roads, but at some point you may decide not to, and that would be a burden on the rest of us.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Say hello.
Anybody else? Come on down, sir. Grab the microphone. Give us your name and where you live first, please.
Gene Femino, I live at 6 Woodville. Some years ago, this came before the board, and it was my understanding then that we did approve it, that you did approve it, because of the way that the school buses use that to go through from Route 6 over to Hathaway Road. And at the time, the school buses were looping into that area. So when Barbara came around and asked to help with the approval for the roads to be accepted, I was a little confused because I thought we had them done as far back when Mr. Deacus was on the board. So I was a little confused with her request, but I was obviously in favor of getting it done. So if you think about where these streets are and how much they're used by the town people, surely a cut-through from, like I say, Route 6 to Hathaway Road would be nice to consider the town approving them, so that before they deteriorate to the point that, they can't be used for that purpose.
Well, just so you know, how the buses go through or how any vehicles go through has nothing to do with the process of laying out the way and so on and so forth, unfortunately. The way has to, in order for this to get to town meeting, it has to be laid out, it has to go to the planning board, they have to go through a process. I know, look, it used to be real easy once upon a time. You used to just go to the town meeting and say, I want to put it on, and they'd accept the roads.
Right.
But now there's, bureaucracy in your way. So you're going to have to go through the process. It's going to take a little bit of time.
Process. I just, for the consideration of it's not just our little cul-de-sac per se. It's definitely used by the town in many ways.
Well, I appreciate that.
And like I say, it is definitely a cut-through from one road to the other.
Thank you. Anybody else? Is there anybody here to speak against the project? I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. All in favor? Tony?
Roll call.
That's what I'm going to do now.
Oh, okay.
I just said Tony.
So all in favor?
Bless you. Yeah. Tony?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Alan, yes.
All right, I
Just
move...
Before, one other thing, Barbara, you have to, if Ken has the paperwork, you're gonna have to make sure that the meets and bounds and the layout and everything has to go to the town clerk's office, be on file with the clerk during this process, and it's
Yeah.
gotta be up to date and current as well, just in case. So even though Ken said he has all the paperwork, make sure he's got what we really need in this process. I don't wanna sit there and all of a sudden go to town meeting like we did with a couple of them, have to postpone it 2 and 3 times. Thank you.
All right, I move the intentions of the Board of Selectmen to lay out Windsor Drive, Woodville Way, and Melwood Drive.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Now, we're going to have to make a referral as well, too. Move it to the planning board. Is that part of the motion or not?
Well, just as part of the process. I don't think it needs to be part of the motion.
I think it does,
Part of our step.
because it's a 45-day, wouldn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Simple
All
as
in
it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. I'll make sure that the planning board gets notification today. Actually, tomorrow morning, we'll get it going, but it's 45 days as of today. We'll try and get it done a lot quicker than that, though.
All right, Alan, we have the dog hearing, but it's not till 7:30, so could we, let's do the, establish the dates for fall town meeting, and have Peter read it into the record,
Yep.
please?
Okay, this is for the annual Fall Town Meeting, which is going to be October 22nd, 7 o'clock in the Wareham High School Auditorium. It's the fourth Monday in October. Town of Wareham, Board of Selectmen, 54 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571. Process for calling a town meeting, October 22nd, 2018, general business. Tuesday, July 31st, 2018, Board of Selectmen establish all dates for completion of a warrant for the fall town meeting. That's what we're doing right now. Monday, August 27th, 2018, last day to post in at least one public place in each precinct, notice of intention of Board of Selectmen to call the fall town meeting for October 22nd, 2018. This is done in accordance with bylaws, Division 1, Article 1, Section 3, which is 10 days before the warrant closes. Thursday, September 6, 2018, last day for articles and/or petitions to be inserted in the warrant. This is in accordance with Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4C, which is 45 days or more before town meeting convenes. Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, Board of Selectmen officially closed the warrant. Thursday, September 13th, 2018, is the last day to post in each precinct and deliver a copy of the warrant to the town moderator and to the chairman of the Finance Committee, Planning Board, and Capital Planning Committee, established by Section 2-5 of the Wareham Home Rule Charter. This is in accordance with Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4D, which is within 3 days of the closing of the warrant. Monday, September 17th, 2018, last day to submit articles to the Finance Committee to be included in the warrant. This is in accordance with bylaws, Division 1, Article 1, Section 1, which is no later than 35 days before town meeting convenes. Thursday, October 4th, 2018, last day to publish entire warrant in a local newspaper. This is in accordance with Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4D, which is not less than 14 days before town meeting. Monday, October 22nd, 2018, is the commencement of town meeting. This is in accordance with Bylaw Division 1, Article 1, Section 1, which states that fall town meetings shall be held on the fourth Monday of October. That's my motion.
Motion by Peter, second by Patrick. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Okay, we got about 30 seconds or so.
Reaffirm the date for citizens petition so people understand that one, because it's separate.
Yeah, just to be clear, all articles or petition articles have to be submitted on September 6, 2018. That's the cutoff date. So if there's something that any board, committee, commission, including this board, or you as a citizen and 10 other citizens want to get together and do something with it, the last day is September 6th.
Thank you. All right, why don't we,
We got it. We just made it. 7:30.
oh, 30 seconds.
the dog area and do the coalition?
You think it's gonna, it might take a while,
What?
the coalition.
Well,
All right, we can do that. It's all right.
unless you want to do, it's up.
You wanna do the coalition first? We can do it first.
You mind waiting?
Yeah, why don't we find out how many people are here for what?
Yeah, how many people are here for the dog hearing? Raise your hand.
Well, let's get it done then.
You wanna do that?
It's
Yeah,
scheduled,
don't
yeah,
keep
it's
them
scheduled
waiting.
7:30.
All right.
Do you want me to just...
Okay,
Give it a minute, let's get started with it.
I move,
Go ahead, Patrick.
I move we
Reopen?
open the dog hearing of Sander Crossman, 198 Great Neck Road.
Second. Actually, this is a continued hearing.
No, actually, it was sort of continued, but it had to be reposted.
Right, it's renoticed, but it is continued, because we never closed the first one, so...
So we're reopening the hearing. You a second?
Second.
Yeah. We'll do a roll call.
Tony,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Peter? Peter? Yes, Peter?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Alan, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let me read.
Hold on a second, Patrick.
Hold on a second.
May I respectfully suggest that the board take administrative notice of the contents of the prior discussion on
So
the
moved.
Second.
subject.
Motion by, second
you.
by Patrick. Do we need a roll call or just a regular?
No, hold on.
Yours.
Anybody who's going to testify during this hearing, please raise your right hand.
Will you be testifying, ma'am?
Anybody testifying during the hearing, please raise your right hand.
Testify, aren't you?
I believe that's you, sir. You must raise your right hand, please. Everybody raise their right hand if you're testifying during the dog hearing. Please raise your right hand.
Your right hand.
All right, now listen up, and town council will swear you in.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
All right. Okay, now I'm going to read this dangerous part, okay? All right, on May 29, 2018, at around 5 p.m., Joseph Washour, 30 Lydia's Island Road, reported that a dog owned or cared for by the resident of 198 Great Neck Road, later identified as Sandra Crossman, attacked another dog unprovoked and inflicted injury. The dog owner owned by Christine DeCory, right? DeCourcy? All right, we're getting there. Some of these names are tough for me. I'm terrible with names. Was later treated at Marion Animal Hospital for a couple of puncture wounds to the neck. On May 22nd, Wareham Animal Control Officer received a complaint from Angie Diller of aggressive behavior by this same dog, described as a female Australian Shepherd named Daisy. Doesn't sound like a bad name. When running loose in the area of Lydia Island. I spoke with Sandra Crossman about the complaint and was told the dog was in the process of professional training. Ms. Crossman was made aware of the aggressive complaints and informed that if the dog was to have any further issues, a dog hearing would be requested. The complaint is made under the penalty of perjury by Cheryl, the dog officer.
Peter run it with Rich.
What?
Peter run the thing with Rich.
Oh, yeah, you can go. Go ahead.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah, where this is a continued hearing, I know that some of the people you see out in the crowd did in fact testify previously. We do already have that testimony. Going forward, the issue we had with the last hearing was that these people didn't receive proper notice via certified mail, so they haven't had a chance to present their case yet. What I would suggest is that they speak first to the issues here. If there's any additional testimony to be had from the people who have an issue with the dog, we can take that in. I would ask that it be, you know, if you're going to say the same things you did before, just generally summarize so that we're not here all night long. One thing I do want to make clear is that what we're here on are the allegations that are specified in that complaint as of that date. So there can possibly be general comments about things that have happened since, but those aren't at issue tonight. Only the things that happened in the complaint are at issue. Would require a fresh complaint from the dog officer to bring anything else forward for us to act upon tonight, because the people with the dog only have notice of the allegations in that complaint. They don't have official notice of anything else that might have happened in the interim. People can speak to them generally, but they're not to be considered in terms of the actions we take tonight. So with that in mind, previously we heard testimony that the dogs were aggressive, that they had harmed another dog and administered another dog. I would say to the dog owners, what say you to these allegations?
Okay, first of all, thank you for the opportunity.
And if each of you would introduce yourselves first, so we...
My name is Sandra Crossman. I live at 198 Great Neck Road.
And I'm Walter Crossman, her husband. I live at 198 Great Neck Road, and the owner of the two dogs. One dog in question, let's put it that way.
Jennifer Cipriani, dog trainer.
Okay. What have you to say about these allegations?
Okay, my name is Sandra Crossman. Along with my husband Walter, we reside at 198 Great Neck Road. Accompanying us is Jenny, a certified dog trainer. Jenny has been working with our dog Daisy, the dog of complaint, for over 6 weeks on a weekly basis. We secured Jenny to assist us with training Daisy, as she is a high-energy dog, and our goal was to have her join the other dogs in Jenny's warehouse pack walks. And I gave somebody a zip drive, and it has pictures of everything that we have worked with and on with the dog trainer. On May 22nd, we acknowledged that Daisy left our premises. This was the first time she had in a year and a half of this occurrence. My husband had just been released from the hospital, and his arrival was a little chaotic. In the dog's excitement, seeing my husband home, as he was coming in the door, the dog jumped up and did hit the latch. Daisy made a lap around the back of the property, circling left, coming up between two residents at 202, 200 and 200R. And in your folders, you will see a statement from both these residents, along with the complaint from Cheryl. At no time was the dog running wildly around the neighborhood as stated. My husband was able to secure the dog at these residents. One of the residents had her own dog sitting on the steps and was talking to my dog. She just kept running back and forth because she's never done this. On 5/29/18, Daisy took advantage of the front door not being properly latched and went out. We take full responsibility for this action. My husband immediately went after her. What he witnessed was Daisy running around the said dog Bruin, barking, as herding is her breed. He jumped up and he tried to pull on Brewy's ear. This is how Aussies try to get dogs down to play. We have had a Mastiff with us on and off for 3 years, and that's what he did to get the Mastiffs to come down and play. He subsequently checked with the owners as soon as Cheryl notified us that the dog's ear had, it was broken skin, who stated that it was only rendered a scratch and she didn't feel it was a big deal. However, she stated she was encouraged by someone down the street to push for further action. As stated, we have a trainer working with the dog before this. She is always on a harness or in a secured 300-foot fenced area, and you'll notice on the zip drive, both gates have a top latch, have a bottom latch. She has never gotten out of that area. She has continually to wear a muzzle since your last meeting, and Cheryl rendered that per request from the dog officer to this meeting. When we take her out for walks. She has never bitten anybody. She has never been aggressive with anybody. And we have our grandchildren at the house right now who sleep with her. We have all worked very diligently in her training. She now has a 6-foot taped area before the door is opened. Secure latches on all doors. Her barking, part of her breed, is monitored closely to only when another dog, jogger, or fireworks go off. And if I can explain just briefly, Jen put a tape 6 feet inside the door, and the dog is now trained to lay down in front of that tape door and does not come to the door. I hope and pray that this will put a finish to what our family has been subjected to. We acknowledge this unfortunate incident. We feel we have covered all our bases. To this extent, we now can't walk our dogs without individuals who we don't even know passing us on the street, crossing the street, some carrying a stick, and yells over to us, "Keep your dogs away," as we have been told that they are dangerous by somebody on Lydia's Island. We too have grandchildren at our house, and this has been very confusing and extremely hurtful. Thank you for your time and service.
Thank you.
Questions from the board?
Well, I was given a folder beforehand.
Yep.
And
Would you like a couple minutes to read it?
Well, I have. I've read through it. And apparently she wants to submit this so we should hand it over to the dog officer.
Yeah.
And make sure that, this is, you know what I mean? She needs to get a look at it. Could you take?
Cheryl, I have a copy here for
Do
you.
you?
but-
Could you get? Well, I'm going to give her mine because mine's like the clerk's record, and I want to make sure it's the same. Not that it wouldn't be. Don't get me wrong. It's just that it's kind of a
Right, in
procedure
case there's any
thing.
missing pages or whatever, then,
Yeah, exactly.
I
Okay.
got signatures from everybody that is anywhere near our house.
just want her to look it
that has ever seen us
over.
walking the dog. There is a letter from the vet.
Yeah, there is a letter from the vet. I saw that, and there's also a picture of the enclosure and laid out and so on and so forth. So I just want,
Feel we have crossed
want
all
Cheryl
our
to see it.
bases, crossed all our Ts. And with Jenny's verification, the dog is now walking in the dog pack, right? With all the other dogs, with no aggression, every Wednesday and every Sunday, plays with them. Jen can testify that she has brought stray dogs.
Well, I can't have you tell me what Jen would say, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
She'll have to say it herself.
We'll have to
Yeah,
have
we've
her
gotta be,
say it. It's hearsay, believe it or not, if you say it.
One thing I would like to review before we go further is...
Is this all acceptable? All right, so I'm going to submit this part of the record, okay?
Yep. I would ask the animal control officer, the last time you were in here, I believe there was some temporary conditions
Yes, I served,
that you requested be imposed upon the dog?
correct. I served these actually in hand, and these were 3 of the options that I was looking to have put in place if you deemed in favor of the dog being deemed dangerous. These were the safety precautions that I wanted to put in place, that the dog be humanely restrained at all times, that the dog be confined outdoors in a securely enclosed, locked pen or tethered in such a manner as to prevent escape, and when the dog is removed from the premises of the owner, the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and restrained with a chain or tethering device not to exceed 3 feet, and that the dog only be walked by an adult of 18 years of age. I served this in hand on July 12, 2018, and Sandra was very willing to work with me under the circumstances, and as far as I know, we've not had an incident since that date. I have nothing documented.
Okay. You've received no further calls regarding the dogs?
There was some confusion about how the dog was to be contained, and some people thought that the dog would be, tethered to a tree or tied to a tree. So when they saw the dog running around in the pen, they thought that that would be a violation. But the dog was not seen loose off the property, nor do I have any documentation that the dog was seen off the property, not muzzled.
Okay.
And that was only for 2 weeks.
As of July 12th. I have a copy. She signed it when I served it in hand. Do you need a copy of that?
Okay. Mr. Crossman, do you have anything to add to your wife's testimony?
No, she is very true to the word and everything she said. There was other things beforehand that I'm not willing to mention right now or whatever. I mean, it had nothing to do with the incident as of we were talking about.
Okay.
It was always before and how I should treat my dogs by other people on the roads around us, that they should try to teach me how to handle my dogs, like hit them with a water hose instead of skirting them with...
Well, none of those things are at issue tonight, so we don't have to get into that.
Yeah.
We'll hear from the trainer now.
Basically, Daisy she's an Australian cattle dog. She is a herding species. She doesn't have a job. So she's kind of lost. She has a very good personality. This first time I met her, she was really good. She shepherded me all along, so she tried to move me where she wanted me. Second time, I brought my dog over, opened her pen and let her go play. And there was no aggression with my dog. My dog's 21 pounds. I mean, she's definitely 3 times smaller than her. And they played fine. I would never put my dog in a situation where I thought another dog would eat her.
Okay, questions from the board?
No, also.
Go ahead.
I have one question.
Yep.
So, in your opinion, when you first met the dog, if you could tell me a little bit about what you thought of the dog when you first met it, and then how it is now that it's had some training, okay? And if there's been a personality change or anything of that nature, and what your opinion of the dog is.
When I first met her, she was very barky, dominant of the house type thing. She didn't want visitors to come in, but she accepted it, and then she tried to move me around a little bit. She's very bossy, and that happens often when you have 2 dogs under 2 humans. They pack up, and one becomes an alpha. The incident came in, she told me about it. I said, okay, well, here's where we're going to start. We're going to put gates up on the porch, so if she does get out, she's got another gate. She can't get past it. We taped up, lines that she cannot cross. She doesn't cross them.
Okay, I get the whole thing, but what's the change in the animal since you've been training her?
Personality is.
Well, her personality's definitely changed.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, but there's, when she first met her, there was a lot of barking, and now I can walk her into a crowd of 30 dogs without any barking. So I'm pretty confident in that. I would never have said, oh, yeah, sure, bring her along if I thought she was going to eat somebody else.
Okay. I've got a question. In my personal experience, the best dog trainers train the handler more than they train the dog.
Absolutely.
What steps have you taken so that the Crossmans can keep this dog under control?
We have learned recall, better recall than she had. We've learned to not disobey her, as you know, she generally is pretty stubborn, but she listens now. She's much more focused on her job. She's much more focused in the house, and she's much more focused being around other animals. As far as this goes, it was a lot of confidence that needed to be boosted up for that to happen.
Okay. I do have a question for the Crossmans. Regarding the scratch on Bruin's ear, do you know if Bruin was taken to the vet? And if so, did...
We were told by them.
By Cheryl.
Well, by Cheryl, but I was, on the day of the incident, I was going after the dog. I went up, drove up Lydia's Island Road, and my dog was there, and Bruno was in the middle, and my dog was jumping around Bruno, you know, and barking at him. And I got him out of the way as much as possible. And then after that, after I got the dog in the car and got it back I came back down, and I was talking to 3 of the people that were there, and one of the women said to me, she says, we're not really worried about the bite. She says, we're worried about the dog biting my grandchildren if they ever come down here. Excuse me, but my dog, well, our dog was in their area, and their dog was not in the same area either. Their dog was unleashed and untethered and met my dog on opposite properties, on another person's property altogether.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you know if they took their dog to the vets?
I just go by hearsay. I didn't see anything from the vet.
Does the animal control officer have any information as to whether this dog was taken to the vet?
Yes, I do believe the dog owner presented that at the last hearing, and she's here. She'd like to make a statement.
Okay. In regards to this, if you would come up and let us know whether the dog was taken to the vet.
Oh, no, let's see that.
Yes, at the level.
You can speak right up, grab the microphone and speak right into it.
My name's Christine DeCourcy, and the dog was taken to the vet on recommendation because I wasn't going to. I was going to treat it with Neosporin like I told you at the first meeting, but the veterinarian said, and Cheryl said, bring the dog in, bacteria could set in and could be serious with the dog. And the dog was not bit on the ear, the dog was bit on the neck, and I believe that,
That's the first time I've seen that.
I know, but you said he was bit on the ear. This is the neck.
Can I see
Well,
that?
that's what he
Yeah,
heard
can you
from
come forward with that?
And like I said, if you scan along.
We're going to have to take a picture of that for our records.
Yeah.
Because I passed it along and you all
saw
looked
that.
at it. There's many pictures of the dog. It wasn't.
I think I've seen this. I think we saw this the
We
last time.
did see this the
around.
last
You remember
time.
this? I think we saw this. I'm sure we saw it, actually. Yeah.
Just email that picture to us.
Okay.
Could you
And
please-
again, I'm the one that said I'm concerned about my grandchildren.
Yes.
Like what he did to the dog, that was my little 2-year-old. If you all have children, I'm
It
sure you-
wouldn't happen with grandchildren. I have,
Well, one at a time, sir. One at a time.
So that is my concern. And the people that witness it, they're the washouts, they were there. The dog was there with them, so the dog was basically with someone. My dog is trained to be with people. Their dog came out of control and went toward my dog. I heard the ungodly yelping, and then when I looked out, I called Bruin. And then when he came to the door, and as you can see,
He didn't come to the door.
It's fine. We just
Yeah, that's adequate. How much, what did this cost you with the vets?
I'm not concerned about the bill. I'm concerned about keeping the people in my neighborhood safe and my grandchildren.
usually find.
Copy of the bill, and it's gonna cost me $139, and it's listed as a bite
Okay. I'll ask the ACO, was this bill ever presented to the Crossmans?
The department does not normally get involved in the civil matter of this. I'm not sure if the dog owner did or did not present that bill.
nope, nobody presented us with anything. Anything, sir.
Wouldn't be the worst thing to pay it.
No, I know that.
No, we
Just an observation. We can't require that you do that, but that's just an observation. tends to,
We offered, my husband
we
went
asked
down
about it. We
to
asked what
check on
happened.
the dog, and we offered to pay it. Our concern, too, is that their dog is always loose, and we have concerns for that, too.
well, the bill is in the amount of $139.90. Do as you wish. Any further questions from the board of the dog owners or the trainer?
Do you have any concerns?
Okay,
about
did you have an
the children?
opportunity to review the meeting the last time when the other people did come up and speak?
No,
No, we did not.
no, but that's all right. We experience it every single day walking down the street, so I have no need to hear it again. I, too, have grandchildren, and the comments have been very hurtful and very negative, so
Well,
don't need to
people
hear
get concerned.
For no
Is
reason.
there anything further you'd wish to say at this point? You do, if anybody else comes up and testifies, you do have the right to cross-examine. Okay, I would ask you to step back, and is there anybody else who would like to speak to this matter here tonight? Come on up, sir.
Joseph Warshauer, 30 Lydia's Island Road. I witnessed the attack.
Yep.
And I have a dog. I've had many dogs, and this dog was not playing. This dog charged Bruin and went for his neck, and numerous vicious growling bites at his neck. And Bruin did nothing to antagonize it. My dog was there also, and as soon as Bruin got bit, he just turned the other way and walked away.
Okay. I believe you testified to that same,
Yeah.
those same facts the last time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah, hi, my name is Dan DeCourcy. Bruin's my dog, also with my wife. You know, I heard the testimony with them saying that the dog has a fenced-in area. To me, it's chicken wire. That is not going to keep that dog at bay. And a piece of tape on the floor is not going to keep that dog at bay. This dog is very, very aggressive, and it came right at the Warshaws, and Bruin got in front of him, and that's why he ended up getting bit. And I know it's just my opinion, but that dog is going to come after a child one day, and there is going to be people in this room that are going to say, we should have listened.
Thank you.
Sir, was your dog loose?
My dog was on my property and my neighbor's property, which he is
But the
there all
dog was
time.
loose? It was
Yes.
not contained, it wasn't on a leash?
No, it was not.
He's allowed to go there. The dog kind of lives at both houses.
He is either.
One at a time, let's,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
The
Thanks.
dog is allowed to go to, there's actually 3 properties.
Is
that
it
he's very
fenced in
friendly
all the
with.
way across from both properties?
No, but he's
No, so he,
Dead-end private street.
so he's allowed to just run free across from one property to the next?
That's right, that's
with
correct.
permission from those people.
Well,
Yep.
but it's still, he has to be contained like every other dog, you know?
Well,
Well,
it's on
he
property,
visits,
unless
Right,
there's an
it's-
order from us to contain.
it's private property, but the people invite the dog. They even have water for him, they feed him. So he's shared. It's almost like we call him a community dog.
Okay.
Because he's,
He stays right amongst that area he's
Does he?
supposed to be.
Okay.
Okay. Just where did the bite take place?
On the dog,
Yeah, where did Bruin get, where was Bruin when he got bit?
Location.
as in location to me, he was 10 feet away. He was like right there.
Where were you? Were you on the road? Were you on property, or?
I was on the road, which is private property. The road is
Yep.
not a road. And I was talking to 4 or 5 people there, and all of a sudden, we saw the dog in the next lot.
Come running over
And
and,
as soon as Bruin showed up, he ran right over and just charged his neck and started chomping away.
yeah,
Thank you. All right.
okay. Ma'am?
I just have a question, I'm not sure. They do not have a proper fence on their property. It's
Well,
like my husband said, it's like
No,
chicken wire.
No, you've spoken to that, and we will ask the animal control officer for
Yeah,
her
it'll be up to
recommendation
the
about the
animal
fence.
control officer.
So we'll ask her about
Okay,
the
sorry.
nature of the enclosure, so that will be addressed. Ma'am,
My name is Angela Didier. I live on Lydia's Island.
could you grab the microphone and really get friendly with it, because they won't be able to hear you out there.
I live on Lydia's Island Road. My name is Angela Didier. I'm catty-corner to their house, so it affects me because I walk past their house every single day. Contrary to what they're saying, I've had this dog come out 3 times knocking down the door. And
It started at 6 months, and now after a little over a year, or 6 months later, the dog came out. All its teeth were showing. Every single tooth in its mouth was open, growling, barking, coming at me like this, and they were chasing it around. It would run from them, then it would come back at me.
Yep.
3 separate times I tried going down the road to get away from it. It followed me down the road, going at me I'm walking.
Yeah, I believe
to
you,
the
I believe you testified to those facts previously. Question for the animal control officer, is this dog spayed?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Questions from the board? Okay, the Crossmans do have the opportunity to cross-examine you, which means ask questions about what you've testified to. It's not a free-for-all. They can't ask questions about, why are you so mean to them or this, that, and the other thing. We don't get into that here. Do the Crossmans have any questions for these witnesses at this point in time?
Can I just add, I've never said anything to these people, so that's a lie.
That's...
Okay. They're talking, I think...
I'm going to ask you questions about what you testified. That's all we can answer right now, okay?
Yep.
Whether they talked to you, they didn't talk to you is irrelevant.
Right. So, Mrs.
down.
Crossman, if you have questions for these people,
You can come
this is
down
your
and
opportunity to ask
Grab that
them.
microphone on the end, please.
First of all, that was the first time that dog had ever been...
Excuse me, you only a question.
Yeah, you only have questions. This isn't your opportunity to testify, just questions.
I'm asking for dates for previous, because that's the first time the dog officer has ever been notified that dog has been down that road, because nobody is allowed to walk down that road.
Well, that's a statement again, ma'am. It's a question.
Has there been any other dates that have been reported to the dog officer?
Well, those aren't for the witnesses. That would be for the dog officer, which I'll allow you to ask that question, but that's for her, not these folks, because she's the only one who can testify as to her records.
And the second question is that I know that dog is allowed to go from property to property, but why, I'm asking the dog officer, why is that dog allowed to do the whole loop of Green Neck and Shortcut every weekend?
It's not about that dog.
That's not really relevant. That's not really relevant to the issue of what happened as between your dog and the other dog.
He was.
It's not about that dog.
He was.
Right.
He was 7 properties away. The post lady will tell you, he's got that whole street to himself.
And it's a private road.
We're not here about this dog, though.
That's not what we're here for. Do you have any questions about the incident? Do you have any questions?
Follow the same law about having our dog.
Yeah, but ma'am, that's not what we're here for.
Do you have any questions of what these people just testified that you want to ask?
I want to know, do they have any dates that my dog was off?
Okay.
On their property before?
That's legitimate. Do
Okay,
you
that's a
have any
fair
dates?
question. Can any of you answer that question? Okay, we understand. Can any of you answer that question?
I'm going to interrupt for a minute, please, on the board. Let Peter ask the questions. If you want to say something, please get recognized by Peter. This is not the way to do things back and forth like this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just going to turn into a free-for-all. So I guess the cross-examination portion is over. At this point, I'll thank you.
Dog officer didn't answer my question.
Cheryl.
Yeah, go ahead.
That would be an animal control officer, just to be correct. So Angela has called me on several occasions prior to this incident, and she had expressed her concerns about this particular dog, and she had mentioned that the dog had been off property, but she did not want to file a formal complaint. She had called me after the incidents had happened, and she just wanted me to be aware of the situation. So I had received notification of this dog being loose and Angela's concerns prior to this incident.
In response to those calls, did you speak with the Crossmans?
I went to their property a couple of times. I was not able to make direct contact with them. I did see the dog out. It didn't appear aggressive when I was there at the property, and we didn't have exact dates or a formal complaint.
Okay. Anything from the board at this point? I might have a couple of questions for the animal control officer, but...
Yeah, I just see what she recommends. I'm fine. I have no other
Yep.
questions.
Have to close the hearing first. Let me know.
Yeah, go ahead and make the motion.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing at this time.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Mary.
Roll call.
Roll call. Tony?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Alan's yes.
Okay, the public hearing is now closed. You folks can go sit back down in the more comfy seats, maybe. If they are indeed more comfy, I don't know if they are. Maybe you want to hang out there.
If they're any more comfortable.
Yeah, the backs on those things, they cut into my back every time I sit them. I swear this guy got them so people would hang out for less time at the meetings.
That's $9.95 we've ever spent per chair.
What, not for the whole lot? I do have a question about the fencing. What did you observe of the fencing? What was the construction?
It is made with like a temporary wire.
Just welded wire, for example?
I would say similar to chicken wire, yes. That you would
Well,
get
chicken wire has that unique sort of six-sided pattern. The welded wire is a much heavier gauge, and that's what I've got around a good portion of my property, and it's...
Excuse me, sir, it's a welded wire.
Correct.
Steel posts every 6 to 8 feet, 4 feet,
Okay.
4 feet high.
Okay,
All and buried in the ground so they can't borrow.
Brings over, sit down.
okay. Is that what you've observed?
Yes, it's the square openings. It appears to be the welded. It's not the technical chicken wire. It's more secure than that. It's 4 feet high, and it's held in with temporary stakes. I don't know that I'm 100% comfortable with what they have for fencing to contain the dog with the history that we have here.
Are you more concerned with the strength of the fencing, or are you more concerned with the height of the fencing?
I would say the strength and also the gate. It's not a formal gate. I'm not comfortable with the way the dog's contained in the fenced-in area at this time.
What recommendations would you make to change the fencing?
I'd like a formal fence put in that's secure. Each post is solid. Like to see at least 4 feet. It could be chain link, but what they have now is more of a temporary fencing, and I'm not comfortable with it, especially the gate.
Okay. The public hearing portion is actually over at this point.
I realize that, but my question is, she was presented you guys with a thumb drive with pictures of her property, along with the gates and such, so why are you seeing that? Because this would call in question what, if it's made out of chicken wire or not.
Is this the thumb drive?
Yeah.
You pop it in there?
I think, can you put this in the computer?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
See, you can,
Yeah, I mean, what the heck, we might as well see it, right?
All right, showtime.
see if it shows up.
Yeah, so let's see if it shows
Yeah,
up.
take a look.
We'll let the technology guys try to work this out.
The professional opinion of the dog officer that's someone that doesn't know how to take care of the dogs.
We're listening to everybody. That's the point of a public hearing.
5 dogs, don't say.
Everybody, please.
Yes.
Hearing is
No
closed.
more remarks. We're going to watch this. The hearing's closed. We will ask the call the dog officer again, the animal control officer, for her recommendations, and we will make a decision tonight.
Well, you can call Peter a dog lawyer to make it even.
Hey, it's true, to some extent.
That's true, though.
I've gotten dogs off of death row, so I know what I'm talking about.
The fencing that is in existence at this moment in time, I do not believe would be acceptable under the Massachusetts state law for the regulations of a dangerous dog. It's supposed to be a secure pen, one with a top, one with a bottom, and one with a gate that is locked. This is a 4-foot temporary fencing.
Could somebody kill one bank of the lights? There we go, great, thanks. Yeah?
It could be.
Okay, well, let's while we're all sitting here, what other than concerns with the fencing, what other recommendations would you make?
So the fencing would be adequate if they're actually out there with the dog. I do not want that dog allowed in that fenced-in area unless there's somebody actually right out there with the dog so that the dog could be assured to be secure. If they're leaving the dog outside and they're not out there, I would want it in a secure pen with a top, with a bottom, and a lock gate. So if they insist on having the fenced-in area, then I would not find having the dog out there alone without them acceptable.
Okay, so you would suggest an additional enclosure that was more secure?
Yes, if
Okay.
they're going to leave the dog out there unattended.
Fine. What other conditions would you like to see
I'm going to insist that they continue with the walking the dog with an adult on a short tethered lead with the muzzle, because they have a history of not being able to control the dog and it getting away from them.
Do you believe the dog should be continuously?
Tony, you could use the mic.
Do you believe the dog should be continuously muzzled all the time?
Only when it's off the property.
Only off the property?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let's ask for a motion. Ask for a motion with the conditions.
Yeah, we gotta see what the fencing is first.
He's never gonna get it open.
Am I allowed to say something else?
Sure.
This is my concern. I know that they're saying that the dog does not show that the dog. The witnesses on the victim's side are concerned for public safety, for people's safety. And the people who own the dog do not believe the dog shows any human aggression. In all the years that I've been doing this, many injuries result to people when they're trying to protect their dog. So if this dog is a herder and does go after other dogs and they have trouble containing the dog, my concern is that when the dogs are tangling with another dog, that a human's going to get injured trying to break up the situation.
Yeah.
So there
Never
is
ends well when you try to break up a dog fight.
So there is a human factor to
the
this.
gate?
That's the fence.
Yeah, that's, I don't know what that is.
It's Mickey Mouse.
All
Okay.
right. Okay, thank you.
We got an opening for IT assistant.
Very nice. What dog lives here?
Mountain.
Okay, so your recommendation, all right, I think we know what your recommendations are.
There are 8 more pictures.
It's okay.
We've seen enough of the enclosure. That gives us a picture of what it is. Yeah, I mean,
The door looks real flimsy, too.
yeah, I gotta be honest, half of my yard, half of my yard is 4-foot chain link. I did have an escape artist I put a topper on to keep him in.
Thank you.
Resident female could probably go over the 6 feet that covers, but she's not interested in doing that. I do have the 4-foot welded wire fence. Some of it is similar to that, and I've never had an issue with them breaking that down. And they're German Shepherds, they're pretty powerful dogs. However,
Are you post?
I am concerned about the way the gate is set up.
Are you post-permanent, or are they temps?
They're the 4-foot, fairly heavy gauge steel posts that you pound in. Is about this much below the surface with the wedge
With
bit.
the wedge on the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are temp posts, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they are temp, but the temp has been up since 1995, so it's held together pretty well.
The dog probably wasn't aggressive.
You don't know my female.
Dog's aggressive.
Yeah, she's rough.
Right spot.
We have 2 dogs in that fence. They have never gotten loose.
Okay, understood. Okay, folks, the hearing's over, so right now we're just sort of deliberating internally here. What's the pleasure of the board?
So, Cheryl, do you have a list? Can I see it?
Doesn't make the motion. Okay.
Okay. Control.
Could you just read those recommendations?
All right, so it says, I, the Wareham Animal Control Officer of Wareham Department of Natural Resources, request that the dog Daisy, owned and cared for by Sandra Crossman, be deemed a dangerous dog under MGL Chapter 140, Section 157. I further request that the hearing authority order, incorporated by reference as per the statute, the following: that the dog be humanely restrained, that the dog be confined outdoors in a securely enclosed and locked pen. Now, I think really it's up to the dog officer to determine what the pen is and what it isn't. When the dog is removed from the premises of the owner, the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and restrained with a chain or tethered device not to exceed 3 feet in length. That the dog only be walked by an adult 18 years of age or older. that the owner provide animal control with information by which the dog may be identified throughout its lifetime. Typically, that's a chip. The dog's chipped? Yes. All right, so you need to supply her with the chip information, so that, you know, if it ever should come up, she has the information. That's what she's saying.
Could you identify the factors that led you to recommend a finding of dangerous dog as opposed to at risk?
The dog inflicted injury to another animal unprovoked.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to get that on the record.
All right, so I move that we accept the animal control officer's recommendations.
As presented.
And require they be implemented, and that the determination of the fence be in her purview. That she's to go out and look at it and decide what's strong enough and what isn't, and make the determination. That's my motion.
By Patrick, I need a second.
Yep.
Motion by Patrick, second by Mary. Any other questions?
Nope.
Nope.
Roll call or regular on this one?
Regular vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you
understand
all.
this isn't a fun process for anybody who comes here.
That's for sure.
We thank you for the 2 nights that some of you have spent on this, and we hope that this result will solve the issues.
Thank you.
Coalition. Buzzards Bay Coalition could come down now, please. Hello.
Hey, good evening.
Hello.
Turning to a happier subject. Absolutely.
Turn the lights on, Gary.
It better be a happier subject than that.
All right, you can talk again, Sam.
Some handouts for you guys.
Everybody's got handouts.
Yeah, we always get handouts.
You need a truck to drive all this paper home.
All right, I'm gonna take
Ooh, glossy.
2 because I want
You need
one to
one
go
for
in the,
your
one's
folder.
going in the record and the other one I want to keep, okay?
Yep.
If you don't mind.
Good evening. Thank you for having us to get an update. Just for the record,
You brought a posse, it looks like.
You want this one?
it's a good group.
You're gonna have to introduce them all.
Mark Rasmussen, President, Buzzards Bay Coalition. I'm here tonight with Sam Gray, who's Vice Chair of our Board of Directors, also Wareham resident. And I want to thank you for giving us the chance to give the board an update. We were last in to see you beginning of March, end of February, beginning of March. It's been a while. A lot has happened. So what I wanted to do tonight was go through all aspects of this idea, be able to answer any questions, because we are, you know, after more than 3 years now of talking about this big idea with the board and with the town, we are at an exciting place where we're ready to really get going. So first off, I just want to remind everybody, I've been at this for more than 3 years, and the goal here has not changed. The goal here has been to create the Buzzards Bay region's premier on-the-water exploration center here in Onset, to base that center around more than 100 acres of natural lands, Wickett's Island, Burgess Point, Shell Point Bay Marshes, all headquartered at a community center headquarters at the bathhouse, and to do a restoration and a rejuvenation of the bathhouse structure for everybody. So that's always been the vision. And you all, I want to thank the board again for the support, 2 town meeting votes, a lot of actions by this board to move this idea along. So I thought what I'd do tonight is give you a quick update on where the fundraising stands, talk about the land and access improvements that we're in the midst of, particularly Wickett's Island, the programming that's going on right now on site, talk about the bathhouse rehabilitation plans, and then sort of give everybody a sense of what they can expect to see happen in the next few months. First thing I wanted to do, though, is a fun thing, and it doesn't require any action, but to let the board see for the first time the logo and burgee for this center. There's 2 versions. I'll pass these around. Onset Bay Center, you see this one's much better for a sailboat where you can't see it. The letters here for the logo. If you can all get the symbolism here, this is the shape of Wickett's Island. That is Wickett's Island in the center. This is Onset red. A lot of the original roofs of Onset, including the bathhouse roof was red. Yep. And this is the blue wave that's part of the Buzzards Bay Coalition logo representing water. So that's sort of a neat thing. Both of these will get used, and I can just pass these around to the board.
Thank you.
To see. Hopefully that becomes a very common and regular use symbol in onset. So fundraising. This from the beginning has been a very expensive, very big idea. The fundraising target is a $5.3 million total project. Just to remind the board, that breaks down roughly $2 million invested in the bathhouse structure and the docks at Wickets, $1 million in staffing, $1 million for all the land purchases, and $1 million in endowment so that we can help make sure these programs always stay affordable. That's always been one of the lead goals of the project. So as of today, we're at 3.45 million raised, so 66% towards that goal. I think what's most exciting to us about that number is, first off, that's an amazing number for a project here. The most exciting thing is that is a number that is beyond the point at which this project's going to happen. We are going to do this project. And some of the government grants that came in, Mass Seaport Council, Mass Cultural Council, the Wareham CPA support at town meeting, that's $1.2 million in government funds and $2.25 million in private funds. That's where that pot of money has come together from. So an amazing public-private mix. We have an outstanding lead gift, Mary McFadden and Larry Stifler, longtime onset Wareham residents, actually here tonight, got us kicked off with an amazing $1.2 million private initiative grant to get this going. So we've had wonderful public support, private support, and government support. That said, it's a big project. We still have $1.7 million left to raise. So we spend most of our time fundraising, and we'll continue to do that to make sure that we put away the money here necessary to do this program properly. So that's an update and an appeal to anybody who might be listening that we're still fundraising.
It's always a good thing.
Yep. So second, I want to start talking about a lot that's going on with the lands that we've been acquiring. And most excitingly, in your packets tonight, one of the things in there is an RFP that was actually issued today for construction work at Wickets. Bids are due in 30 days. And what we're doing, just to remind everybody, we have all the permits in hand for this work. We are doing a number of things on the island. First off, we're removing all the remaining cellar holes and cisterns and the hazards that are at the top from the old mansion, which are actually still up there below all the poison ivy and vines. We need to get rid of that. The plan is to make the top of the island a passive recreation area or picnic lawn. It's going to be flat, a place to gather, and I think it's going to become a really popular spot to visit. That will be at where the old house footprint was. We're also rebuilding the stone pier. Adding a new granite slab top to the pier, adding a float so you can easily land a boat there. Anybody who tries to land a boat there now is taking a real risk with their boat. So we're going to add a float and rebuild the staircase. So when you come off the stone pier at Wickets, there always was, in line with the pier, a straight staircase up to the top. We're going to rebuild that as well. So all that work is what's in this RFP tonight that is now on the street, and we're looking for bids. And the plan is to have work start by the end of September. Once we find the right contractor to do all that work. So that's really exciting. The plan is to have all that work done by December. We'll install the gangway and the float in May, and Wickets Island will be safe and open to the public come next summer. That's the plan there. Just keep on going. If you guys want to interrupt me, I'll keep buzzing through.
No.
Burgess Point, so where our sailing dock is. So we purchased 21 acres at Burgess Point to begin about a year and a half ago. That's where when you stand at Onset Pier now, you look across, you can see our 5 sailboats over at the dock at Burgess. We've also been doing a lot of land improvements over there. That was with the support of the Conservation Commission. We did about 7 acres of invasive species removal and forestry work to clean up that forest. You can actually see it's beautiful now. So all native species. We have a native sandplain, dune, forest, coastal forest, all of which become the components of the coastal ecology programming that we're going to be providing at the site. That's worked out really well. The dock is great. We've added a float to the dock for all the boats, and that all happened in the past couple months. And then lastly, on the land side, 2 months ago, we were really excited to add 50 acres of salt marsh at the head of Shell Point Bay to this mix, bringing our number of acres for the center over 100 acres and adding a really neat new destination particularly for kayaking and coastal ecology exploration up in the really great marshes up in Shell Point Bay. So that's all the land acquisition work, a lot of great stuff. And I think you'll see in everything I'm talking about tonight, all along the lines of getting the site ready for a lot more activity, a lot more programming. And that's the mode we've been in. On programs, I included a couple photos in your packets tonight of the new sailboat fleet that we purchased. So we have 5 brand new RS Quests. These are 14-foot dinghies, great for teaching sailing. We can put 4 kids and an instructor in these things. They're safe, they're perfect for Onset Bay, and we've been excited to have a really great first season with them. And so some photos there, and it's really neat to be down in Onset in the afternoon and see sails out in Onset Bay, and it's these sails. And the reason you're seeing people out there is the summer programs that we've been doing is the first full schedule for the center. So we did 6 weeks, 3 2-week sessions, 2 in partnership with the Wareham Boys and Girls Club, 1 in partnership with the Wareham Care Program. We are offering full day camp with those groups for coastal ecology, kayaking, and learn to swim in the morning. Our partners there are the Gleason YMCA is doing Learn to Swim. You'll see we're doing a lot of great support from Gary and the Harbor Master Department Defense Office section for safe Learn to Swim, working with Nemaska Kayak to do the kayaking, and then coastal exploration at Wickets and at Burgess with our staff. And in the afternoon, everybody sails. So everybody goes over to Burgess and has the experience of sailing by themselves for the first time with the Community Boating Center in New Bedford. They've been an amazing partner getting us going with the sailing. And this season has been our chance to try all these different components, to try them in the same day. Where are the space conflicts? How do we schedule it? Where do kids eat lunch? We're figuring all that out and having a great first season. So go down there, you'll see the kids around. In the morning, they're on the beach, and in the afternoon, they're out sailing. So that's the programming. Those will wrap up at the end of August. We've learned a ton, and all of it will inform the full-blown scale programs once we're able to have the bathhouse structure. So that's all that. The next thing is I want to share some plans for where the bathhouse rehab is at. So we are, as was mentioned earlier, before the Conservation Commission tomorrow night, we are looking to get our permits in place so that we can break ground on the bathhouse renovation sometime in September, as soon as we can in September, to try to meet a really short construction window. So we are on a very popular public beach against a very busy pier. I don't think anybody in town wants us doing any work there between Memorial Day and Labor Day. So our construction period is pretty tight. We've got to get moving in the winter and get this done in a short window. So we're moving with purpose towards getting to that stage. We have a great design team. Richard Renner Architects of Portland, Maine is our architect. GAF Engineering here in Wareham is managing the site engineering. And we have Kim Mercurio Landscape Design has done a really neat job with the side of the bank and the bluff. So I have a couple images that I can walk through. I think there's nothing significant that the board hasn't already seen. This has been one of the slowest moving development processes in coming to construction drawings. It is very similar to what you first saw 3 years ago when we came in with the feasibility study. First, to the extent that you can see any of that. From the exterior, the improvements that are being made to the exterior are the rebuilding of the staircase that used to be there. When you come to the center of the walkway in Bayview Park and you come to the end, there always was a stair down into the bathhouse. We are rebuilding that staircase to get down into the second floor. The second floor is depressed down below when you get there. For handicap access, we're going to be coming in from the pier with a new handicap access sidewalk that gently comes and meets the second floor. You can see that right behind the building. It's the same place the sidewalk always was in the past. If you go over there, you'll see a lot of the sidewalks are actually covered over by the bluff. They're all buried. The handicap access sidewalk is in the same location as the historic sidewalk was. And with that, with the exception of those 2 access improvements, handicap access and a staircase, the remainder of the bank is getting all the invasives removed, the chain link fence, all the sort of junk that's there now, and restored with native vegetation. So it'll be, we hope, we're going to talk to the Conservation Commission about this tomorrow night, but our plans are for bayberry, inkberry, low bush, blueberry, really a native coastal bank mix that I think is going to be beautiful, great for wildlife, and part of the story of the building for that bank restoration. That's the site. So like I said, you're probably getting bored of that picture. It looks a lot like we've brought to you before. But what we've done with this rendering is try to show the relationship of the roof lines to the coastal bank. So to give you a couple numbers, that top image up there, if you can all see from that distance, That is two people standing in the park looking out over the top of the building. To put it in real numbers, the second floor roof height is at 28 feet. The park is at 26 feet. So the roof is 2 feet over the level of the park. The design is intended to look out over the second floor while still making a usable second floor space. Our architect has really worked hard to create a usable first and second floor with heights and pitches that actually make sure that we can still look out over the building. The exception there is the 20-foot, roughly 20-foot long cupola in the middle is the attempt to give the space some light and not be bunker-like on the second floor. It's also, if you look at the historic photos of the bathhouse, a nod to the original shed. The balcony had a very similar shape in the same location. And it's going to create a space inside the building, which is not only, like I said, doesn't make it feel bunker-like, gives us some light and height, while at the same time just constraining that visual impediment to 20 feet. And that's been the design goal all along, to make it look historic, and to be functional for the second floor space.
Well, if I look at the top one,
Yep.
it looks like those people on the back are right over the top of the cupola.
They are. Oh, they would be. You still would be over the top of the cupola if you were a 5-foot person.
Because it looks much depressed in the middle here. The side one is a little more, you know, because you're looking at the pitch of the roof, right?
Right.
You can see a little more of the gable, so to speak. But if you look at the actual cupola where it sits on top of the middle of the roof, you see that?
Yep.
You can see how it's not very high at all. You know what I mean? Can you see what I mean?
And the bottom image shows the person in silhouette, and their head is above
The head
the
is
cupola.
above the level. I can
No,
see that
yeah.
that's the case.
Now, that's an adult. But yes.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
All right.
It is also the only way you'd ever know there's a building at the bathhouse at all when you're in the park or you're up at Mark Anthony's, to be able to see that there's something down there, because the rest of it's all below the bank. So.
It always was, so.
It always was. Just for the program inside the building, the first floor, you know, we are in a 22-foot V zone, so the first floor is going to be wet storage and boat storage. We are going to be minimal improvements to the first level. It is designed to keep wet boats and life jackets and paddles and all that. That's going to be the purpose of the first floor.
Can't have any electrical or anything in there.
Up
That's all.
super high, or we're just going to be replacing it in a storm, right? Upstairs, though, is a fully finished space with bathrooms, lockers, lunchroom, staff welcoming area, 2 classrooms that can be opened up. There's a divider, so there actually can be one open space as well. We are designing this to be a year-round facility, so we want winter programs. We want to be in there all the time. It won't be shut down off-season, and so we want to make it fully functional year-round. And last thing on historic, the first floor level, the vents, the windows, those things are where the Mascot Kayak is now. That's sort of the most steady in all the historic photos. That stuff has been around for a while. We're doing everything we can to keep all those features. And restoring the classic onset red roof. It really was a feature of onset Victorian buildings, and so that will be restored as well. That's sort of the summary. Like I said, we're before the Conservation Commission with all those issues. It is our intention to break ground in September, and that's, I think, what I'll end with. Expect to see there is going to be a barge and a crane doing the improvement work on wickets come September. We're going to be taking over the bathhouse restoration come September, and both of those, wickets ending by December, and then the bathhouse being done by next Memorial Day. That is the plan.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm just excited to see this happening.
Thank you.
This is going to be great.
Yeah, I think this is, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really heartened that you're 2/3 of the way towards your fundraising goal. That's really quite an accomplishment. And I know the town's partnered with you on it, and the state has as well, but you also had to do a significant amount of outreach. And I know the people sitting out here have been a big part of that as well. We should probably have them parade up and introduce themselves, because they've been critical to this project in their own right.
This is just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you, I'm one of those people, I never seen anybody, a group of people in a town that comes together so much as Wareham does when, for whatever reason, for good reasons, bad reasons, whatever it is, they come together and they just work hard at it. It's just absolutely mind-boggling to me, and I was one of those people that was lucky to be part of that once upon a time, so I appreciate it. But I really like what you're doing. I really love the look. I like the idea of keeping the historical look of the building, you know, from when it was before. Although I imagine they're not going to be selling frozen candy bars in there, right? Like they used to, right?
No.
Which they used to. There was a place in there, remember?
Yeah.
Does everybody remember? I remember. Right? I remember. I go back a couple of years. But yeah, I mean, you know, they used to have these things, milkshakes. I used to love them. Everybody remember milkshake? Frozen candy bar? They were awesome. I used to love them to death. They were sort of, what do you call that? Malted kind of a thing. It was really kind of great. Of course, malted was big back then. But I digress. Anyway, I love it. I think it's beautiful, and I'm so glad that it came together. I was a little skeptical in the beginning because there was a lot of money to be raised, there was a lot of stuff to happen, and I wasn't sure it would ever get off the ground. But I got to give you guys kudos. You've done a nice job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And all the folks as well. That's a
7
good
o'clock.
question.
I think
7,
it's-
I think,
it's
right?
7.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. It's in this room.
Yeah, please understand, the Conservation Commission meeting is strictly to discuss conservation issues as far as the building where it's placed, as far as land issues. It has nothing to do with design or anything else, so everybody understands. This is a project I can smile about because Mark came to me a little over 3 years ago and said, I have an idea. And I said, okay, but I can't tell you. I said, okay. And I'll tell you when I'm ready. He did about 5 months later, and my answer to him at that time was, let's get this thing done. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want my Burgies back.
Normally we don't have.
Just one comment. Although we're only summer residents here, I wanted to mention that my wife, Mary McFadden, 5 generations of being here in the summer, all children in all those generations learned to swim there. All our children learned to swim in onset. So this is dear to our hearts that this is happening.
I'd also like to recognize Mary because this is not the only project the Stifler Foundation and Mary McFadden's been involved with in the town of Wareham. This is just an ongoing process. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
really appreciate all the things you've done, not just this one. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to add one thing. 56 summers ago, I took my first swimming lessons in Wareham on a public beach, and it was appalling to me to find out a couple of years ago from the YMCA that something like a third of Wareham third graders did not know how to swim. You know, in a coastal community, it's not a luxury to know how to swim. It's a matter of your kid making it to be a teenager or your kid drowning. And the fact that you're putting on programs like this, you know, it's more than just nice. It's more than just, you know, learning a pleasurable skill. It's actually saving lives, and we're very appreciative of the work you're doing down there.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, this is, look for these shirts. This is what all kids are getting in the first class. This is the t-shirts for the kid, the first 45 walked in. I hope they tell all their friends, and we'll see them back next year.
And only you can only get if you're in the first class.
That's it. These are very
That's
special
it.
first class shirts.
There you go.
Just reach out as you need help.
Will do.
Maybe when
Thank
they're
you.
our age, or my age, that they'll still have it.
I hope so.
I don't think so.
Thank you.
You know,
they're not gonna fit.
they're never gonna fit. I weighed like 70 pounds back then. I don't know. I got a leg that weighs 70 pounds.
T-shirts in the 70s. Thanks again. Thank you, Sam.
All right, you've got any other town business?
None.
Hey, Tony? Mary?
No.
Peter? Patrick?
No.
Alan, no.
Town administrator's report.
Make it quick. Yep, exactly.
Okay, On board, any committee meetings, Tony? Committee meeting information, Mary,
I've done nothing.
Peter,
Nah.
Patrick?
I just have one thing. For those of you interested in the change in sewer rates, there's going to be an update where we stand on this Thursday night for the sewer commissioners meeting in this room. So if you're really interested in that, and I know a lot of people are, get down here and, maybe you can have some input into that whole thing.
Thank you. Just a couple things and we'll get going with this. There was a meeting today, I kind of came in at the end of it, the moderator, town clerk, and Matt Underhill, our IT director, were talking about the possibility of electronic voting, which is something that both the moderator and myself have been kind of pushing. The problem has been that the electronic voting costs have been extremely high. They were able to come up with a new program at an extremely low rate. We'll see how the thing works out, but there is a strong possibility we might have electronic voting for fall town meeting, which means anyone who wants to come and vote can do it with no one knowing how they voted. Because I've been told for years, people won't come to town meeting because they don't want anybody to know how they vote. So this could be a big change in what we do. Also, I was at the town Democratic meeting on Sunday, and I spoke with our Senator Pacheco. A couple things have been put out in the paper, which was kind of confusing to us. One was a $7.2 million grant for Mill Pond Dam. I couldn't quite figure out where we have Mill Pond Dam anywhere, especially at $7.2 million. So I did contact the senator's office, and I hit kind of a roadblock because nobody can answer it. I asked Mark the same question on Sunday, and he kind of drew a blank. They said to get back to me. I won't say
Well,
what.
maybe we can fix all the Mill Pond dams with it.
Yeah, all
But
of
there was
them.
also, we have 3 or 4 of those technically. Then there was another grant for $1.2 million for Route 25 dam. I have a pretty good idea where that is, but I'm not sure what they're doing. And the third piece was they had put into what we call an earmark that happens a lot when the budgets are done for $20,000 for the Council on Aging. Senator Pacheco, I believe, put that in for all his cities and towns in his region. It wasn't just Wareham. My concern was what that money was actually for, how it could be used. Whether it was going to be something that was sustainable, like buying a one-time item or whatever. And I asked him if he could make a statement to clear that up so people wouldn't be going around running to try to do something with it that really doesn't work. And basically, it's for services, one-time purchases, et cetera. It's not for salaries, et cetera, like that. So we'll get a release on that, but we will be getting $20,000.
Non-administrative costs.
Non-administrative costs. Make that very clear, everybody. And the other piece is I'm still working with Mass Coastal. They're the gentleman who's in charge of about 150 miles of rail from Wareham up and going is overworked and crying about it. But he hopefully will meet with me maybe this Thursday so we can mark what bushes and trees we want removed on Merchant's Way to clear up that whole area. The town is busy, so we'll basically be using their labor to do that. Hopefully, I'd say by October if things work out right. So we just keep going along, and we're making changes slowly but steady. So just, like I say, give us time and try and work with us. And instead of everybody saying no when you say something, say why not. It'd be really appreciated. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have minutes from the meeting of June the 12th, 2018. I move we approve them.
Second.
Alan, you were absent.
Correct. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain, 1.
401. All right.
Move to adjourn.
Need a second? Motion by Peter, second by Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
500. Good night, Wareham. Thank you.
Good night.